So I just wanted to share a quick part of my dream because it involved my twin flame, and I haven't dreamt of him for a while. I think I was feeling a lot of his emotions and stuff, but he didn't physically appear in my dreams for, probably since the last one I shared. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, the Pisces moon we just went through, and his moon's in Pisces. Oh, thank God I think it's in Taurus now. Oh God. I'm able to sleep. I feel like, way grounded, good stuff. Back to myself a little bit more. So, yeah, my brother's a triple Taurus. I asked my dad, I'm like, how would you know? Did you get his, like, birth, do you have his birth certificate with the time on it? And he said, well, because my parents were kind of hippies, when I was younger. Really? And, they lived at an ashram for a while. They, you know, anyway, so they knew, people who did charts and stuff like that. So my dad had my brother's chart done when my brother was little, or, whenever, probably before I was born. Didn't get my chart done, just his. But, so I was thinking, oh, well, I probably wasn't born yet. My brother's 2, almost 3 years older than me. Yeah. 73, I think he was born either 73 or 74. 423, 73 or 424, 74. Same exact birthday as my aunt, also the same exact birthday as Martin Luther King Jr.'s firstborn son, and I was born on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, so so there's a definitely kings and khans are very closely related. So um, the khans are the kings of the clan. We have yeah, that for some reason we have a soul tie, I believe, to that family because just when I was a kid, before I even really knew who and what he was or whatever, I just remember the first time seeing his face. Probably I was like 3 or I don't know. Um, and he just had like this. I'm talking about Martin Luther King Jr. He just had this cherub face. I'm going off track here a little bit, but um, doesn't Martin Luther King Jr. just have like a cherub face, like a face of an angel or a baby or something? You know what I mean? It was just something about him that like I couldn't even see him as an adult. Um, yeah, maybe this is tying in. Okay, so he just some people, no matter how old they get, they have like this baby face, and they kind of, even if they're dressed in a suit and they speak very properly, and they're, like very adult like or whatever, but you just see, you can feel they're just so in tune with that. They're very healed, okay? So their inner child is just glowing and shining out of them, okay? So anyway, yeah, my brother's a triple Taurus, so and he is, but we get along very well, but also bash heads on things because that glitz and gleam that can attract the bull, right? Like the matador with the red cape, that movement, so they can kind of get lured, we'll say. And thank God my brother's finally, hopefully got off the hook and lure. God bless his soul. So anyway, so this just reminded me of like the men in my life and the child, the inner child, okay, within just men, okay, that I've been close to in my life. And so the dream, I can't really remember too much of it, but right before I woke up, of course, because that's what I asked the angels, if there's an important message or, update with my twins' energy or something you really want me to know, give it to me right before I wake up so I remember it. So it's the last thing I dream. And so it was kind of like a classroom. Um, like didn't like it was about to get started. Like people were still filing. Like the tardy bell hadn't rung yet, so people were still, the teacher wasn't getting started yet, but most of the people were in the class. See what I'm saying? So it was like just about to get started, but it was still, kind of feeling a little bit out of control, rambunctious, people talking, people still filing in and not quite in their seat and quiet and paying attention, and the teacher, okay, so it was like right before that starting. But I remember he was sitting in this desk and he just kept staring at me, and he's indigo. It's indigo, the indigo thing. And it was like he wasn't, he was in the desk, he couldn't get up. So it was like there was some kind of restraint on him. He was bound to the desk. Okay, so he was being forced to learn something, is what I got from that. And he kind of had like his arms down on the desk in front of him, and his head kind of like his chin resting on his arms a little bit with his head turned towards me. And I remember I just kept feeling his eyes on me, and every time I looked back, yet he was staring at me, and I was kind of on the other side of the room. It was kind of like, I don't know, like the senior girls and the freshman boys or something like that, sophomore, So anyway, that was the feeling I got, that they were bound, restrained, and forced to be learning what was coming up for them. But there was like this inner child gleam coming out. Just the face, okay, the way the face looked, and this is why, like, Martin Luther King Jr.'s face, okay, it was like that, just like a baby cherub angel face, where you just, every time I looked at his face, like, I couldn't, and he had kind of this goofy, silly kid grin on his face, and he's like staring at me, just like a 12-year-old boy would do when he first sees, boobies or something, and he just can't, right? There's just like this, there's in such amazement, or what, I don't know, whatever it is that you'd be amazed by, but that's a perfect example, and it was, he just could not stop staring. So they're very, they're thinking about the divine feminine and very happy, very, so their mind's kind of distracted in that way. And it was kind of like there's this fun they wanted to have, okay, those thoughts, okay, romantic feelings, and where that leads, okay. So I was kind of getting that inkling from it, but it was like, no matter what they thought about doing or whatever, they were bound to that chair, and there was some lessons and some teachings coming for them, and they can be all happy and giddy as an inner child as they want to be, but there's some serious stuff coming up. And that's kind of what I'm saying, like that Geminian energy that the sun is basically in now, and it's like, it's not good, bad, it's not always dualistic, but it's just like polarity, like their interests are in so many different just whatever's interesting to them. So it could be something that you think doesn't go together at all, okay, like, I don't know, like a sandwich with jelly on it, or like peanut butter and meatloaf, or so, like just two things that don't go together, but they're just like, oh, that's a Gemini sandwich, I'll eat that shit up, they love it, or whatever, you know what I mean? Go to a horror movie, a scary movie, and then like go out in nature and go on a beautiful hike and go to the beach all day. Like just two extreme, totally different apples and oranges kind of thing going on with them. So their mind is like very childlike, very, okay, they're interested in all these things they want, but they're bound to this chair and kind of being forced to pay attention to some stuff that's coming up for them. But in the meanwhile, while they're learning that, God's keeping them restrained from certain things, and the reason for that is so that they can pay attention and learn the things that are coming up for them and keep focused on the divine feminine. So I got that God, is really tightening the reins with, like putting the screws down on them, however you want to say it, but getting pressed, get smited. They're bound, okay? They're in like the melting pot. They're contained. Um, but there's this happy, childlike Gemini, fun inner child. Okay, Gemini, they very much that inner child. Um, I just associate a very fun, whimsical, very interested in things, just like a child. A Gemini is very much childlike, but like healed inner child, the perfect inner child, not wounded or okay. So they're really feeling the Geminian solar energy, focused on their twin. Okay, and then Gemini is the twins. Okay, they're focused on the reflection. Um, and Gemini is also kind of bound, black, white, that dualistic to the twins. Okay, so there's boundaries being put on them. They're being bound, constrained, the screws down on them a little bit. They're being boxed in and contained, getting ready for some more stuff coming up. But that inner child is glowing, okay? The rise of the solar child, it's coming out, and the result of that is a very deep, refined focus on the divine feminine. It felt kind of, I almost was like, who, like when the cute boy has a crush on you and they keep staring at you and you're just like, you have a crush on them too, but you don't, I mean, you look over and glance over every now and then, but they're just like staring and staring and staring at you, and you're just like, okay, I think you're cute too, just, or whatever, it's just, it was like, even though it was my twin, I was like, it was kind of almost like too much, you know what I mean? And that might be a fear that they're feeling too, like, oh, I don't want my love to be too much, scare her away, or what, so, it's very important for everyone to be authentic and genuine and in their heart and not in their ego. Because you can never love someone too much and be too much. And if you tell people that when they're trying to love on you, there's a block in you. Okay, there's something, you can't receive the love for whatever reason, and so pushing love away. We don't want to push love away. When they're ready and they come to you, however it is, whatever it is, don't have, expectations with communications. And it's very important to just stay in your heart space, stay in that energy, that vibe of unconditional love, and just look at them as a child, like you're a teacher and you teach preschool, and all these kids are such cute little perfect little kids, right, with their little baby faces when they're so little and sweet and innocent. They cry so easy, and they're sensitive and they respect authority. They're just like perfect little, I love just like small, I love all children. I worked with all different age kids, but when they're just like my son's age, they're kind of little getting into stuff, but it's just like, that's how I'm kind of like just seeing everyone like that, really. I think that's a really good state of surrender to be in, because it kind of sheds that ego way of thinking and feeling about stuff, because we all love, just even with your pets, you got a big old dog that's old and falling apart, and what, you love him, right? Just remember when he was tiny little perfect little puppy little baby. Same with people, like, just the thing about that is not the physical attachment to how they look, but the feeling it gives you is something so perfect and pure and innocent and brand new. Okay, and it puts you in that love vibe of giving and receiving. You just want to receive their beautiful energy, and the energy that gives you, you just want to give that back away, and just keep that flow of unconditional love, of giving and receiving. That's the most beautiful state of surrender to be in. And that's like, the mentality of the devotee being empty and ready to be filled up with truth. Okay? So I hope I didn't go on too long there. It was 15:05 when I looked down at the clock. So thank you guys for joining me on this little tangent. But the dream, I thought it all kind of ties in and what I was feeling, and then I had the dream and the things that have been coming in lately filtering in. So I think that's where they're at for now. And yeah, I love you all. Peace and blessings.